Hi, how you doing? Welcome to Under the Floorboard. I'm here with my fellow co-host, Mr. Sean Spalding.
Hello.
And may I welcome Mr. Barry John Corr.
How are we doing?
Woo.
Very good. Woo-hoo. How are things?
All good, thanks.
Good. We'll ask a couple of questions, probably just a wee bit of background. If you can give us a little bit of kind of like where you came from, how you got to where you are right now, and then we'll kind of start to get into a bit of detail. Just
Okay.
free flow it.
Yeah, so I've been involved in property for 22, 23 years now.
Oof.
Not full time, obviously, in that period. Really took it a bit more serious over the last 10 years, maybe. But kind of between the first one, back then we thought all we did was you bought a house, did it up and sell it. I didn't realise the variety of strategies you can really put into place. I never knew any of that back then. So we do maybe a flip every maybe 18 months to 2 years, not making a great deal from them at all. Always in with someone else, another like joint venture partner, if you would like to call them, and really just splitting things down the middle. And this is before social media was even a thing, so people still wanted to do business with us. And I think that's where I learned a lot of skills early on about raising money, because I didn't have any, and I had to communicate. You know, a lot of people in today's world, they find it difficult to speak. It's all online now.
Text and everything.
Yeah, so we had to learn a lot of real skills, life skills, if you like, communicating. And yeah, once we started doing a few, obviously we went in a few different courses over the years, spent a lot of money on courses and self-development as well. Honestly, I think I've spent in excess of 100 grand over the years.
You think that's helped get to where you are now, in a sense?
Oh, without a doubt. We've taken certain parts from different courses and events that we've attended. I wouldn't say we went and won and followed everything relentlessly, but no, we've took certain parts from it and implemented that into what we do today.
Right. And you've got a sports background. Do you think a lot of that helped? Like, do you think there's anything within the sports background that helped you transition into property, like the mentality side of things? Because obviously breaking through to be a professional.
Yeah, there is a lot of skills there that help you transition, you know, from football into business life. I think a lot of it is like discipline, the drive, motivation, how to react to certain situations, and as you get older as well, social media came into it. Sometimes abuse. I was used to getting that anyway from the crowd. So that helped.
I never actually thought about that.
So you've got to have thick skin, and I had to develop that from an early age.
So you obviously, you know, the biggest point I picked up there was, I've heard you speak about this slightly before, about you had an injury in football.
Yeah.
So you think about that kind of resilience piece of getting through. Like, what do you think kind of drove you through that? I mean, if you want to talk about that, like that kind of part of being injured to get back into playing again, and the mindset to... Yeah,
I had a back injury, a stress fracture, a double stress fracture on my lower back. So I had 2 cracked vertebrae there. We had to have a big operation. It was kind of touch and go whether you would walk again.
Wow.
But the surgeon seemed very confident. He was talking like you're millimetres away from your nerve.
Jeez.
But to him, in his words, millimetres are miles.
Right.
So
for us, it seems a little bit that.
But I was only 20 when I got it. Was I 21? I was 21 at the time, because I remember it well. The World Cup was on in Japan, 2002.
All right.
And that helped me that time, because you're watching games, 3 games a day, and you're in bed, you couldn't move. But to come back from that, at the time I was told, forget about playing football, just try and get back to normality in life, pain-free, and if anything on top of that, it's a bonus. But I came back from it. Came back, really looked after my diet at the time, and that obviously helped. And I think mentally as well, it built a lot of resilience that then stays with you forever. It doesn't ever disappear after that, because obviously as you get older, there's a lot of challenges and whatever come into your life, and yeah, I think that definitely helped build that mental toughness that I still have today.
I was going to say, like, that kind of callous of going through all that, lying in bed, watching the game, going, I want to go back out in the field. So then when I pull up my phone, just saying you're like, that's fuck all. That's not an issue. I've had issues, and you get through them. So that kind of helps that transition of that mindset to have. Because obviously when you're going through whether it be flips or your portfolio that you've grown, that's obviously not been plain sailing at all. So, but again, those issues are very, very small. You've overcame bigger health issues, I suppose.
Yeah, there's always challenges in life, and when you go over one, there's something else.
Yeah.
You know, no, everyone's the same. Everyone's got challenges going on, whether that's like physically or mental challenges or whatever, family stuff. There's always a challenge in life for everyone, and it's just how you approach things. You know,
what made you come away from so football and or any sporting, and then you get a lot of sporting people, especially in football, in fact, that say I'm going to go and be, I don't know, do coaching, or I'm going to do something else. What was that trigger point that you went, I'm going to buy property? Because actually I know lots of people in sport and they buy pubs, for example, and that kind of seems to be the path, or go to somewhere like...
Have you what, a pub yet?
Preston North End or Brentwood. I don't know, Brentwood you would obviously kick at now, but it's the type of clubs I knew people that were just like, I'm going to be assistant coach. So what took you out the mould of being that to what you're doing in property?
Yeah, I think in football, and I've come across a lot of guys that I know, once they hit 34, 35, 36, they're like, oh, what do we do now? They don't have anything behind them. And a lot of the guys have reached out to me because they saw the transition that I made. And I think a lot of the guys do struggle with it mentally because they don't have anything. For me, it was pretty much forced upon me. I came out of the game at 26. I went down the leagues. Most people start maybe lower and work their way up to try and get to the top. I played at Celtic when I was 18 and went down to, I wouldn't say down, went to Motherwell.
Moved around.
Yeah, moved around clubs, and you go down the leagues, and we go down the leagues, it is more difficult. It really is. And I admire the guys that are part-time, that are out now doing a day's work, going to their training at nights, and on a Saturday they're up and down the country like for a couple £100, and they still take all the abuse as well. So yeah, it was forced upon me. I came out of the game, I finished off in the senior game at Ayr United, just hated football, pretty much hated everything in life at that time. And at that point I was like, what do we do? Because we don't have any money here.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the transition, going from part-time and trying to get a few like small jobs here and there with mates that are tradesmen, just to try and supplement your money. But then I walked out, that was October time, I walked out of Ayr, and I never went back, and I was like, I'm done with football, I hate it. So now
married, kids?
Yeah, I'd married at the time. So I wasn't married, but with Leanne.
All right.
We've been together since like 19.
Wow.
So together for 26, 27 years.
Can't do the maths.
Yeah. So again, we had two young kids at the time. Obviously with the mortgage, and then you're like, get no money.
What do you do
what are we
here?
going to do here? And that's when I've always performed much better. See, backs to the wall.
Yeah.
I just go for it. And at the time, I remember when I was on the tools at the time, there wasn't a lot of working about. So I ended up going about this. I had an old transit van, rust everywhere. You had to push it down the hill sometimes to get going. But I remember driving about town one day with nothing, and I had to chap every door, every bathroom shop, kitchen shop in the whole city, like begging for work. So you go from kind of playing at Ibrox and playing at Tynecastle, getting like a bit of exposure, to then like, I've not even got 2 coins to rub together here. And that's when I had to really learn how to raise money, because I had nothing.
So how did that? I mean, that itself is a skill. Like you kind of touched on it a little bit, but generations coming out won't have that skill of chapping doors, even to go and see their pals. Like just chapping doors for business, chapping doors for. But now it's like chapping doors for money, chapping doors for deals, raising finance, joint ventures. Like that's a skill in itself, and be having that resilience and that mindset, and I guess that confidence to go and do that as well is good. But how did that first deal, if you remember it now, but how did that first deal kind of come about? Do you remember it at all?
Yeah, the very first flip away.
I one of the first ones.
Aye. Back then you were still looking in shop windows. There wasn't Rightmove or anything. Internet. You were looking like in shop windows looking for
high street estate agents.
Yeah. And then you're just going to do viewings and whatever. So we found a property. I thought, you know what, it looked bad, but I didn't know how to do a proper research that I do today. I just thought we can do that up, make it nice and sell it, and hopefully make a profit. Which, to be fair, we did. And then the profit was just split down the middle. But you made, I think it was 12 or 13 grand we made each. nothing really to get excited about. But you're only 21, 22.
But at the time, you're like that.
At the time, you're right into the shop in the town buying Timberland boots, shirts, depositing a car. So you don't know, like today, like the knowledge you got today. You just don't. And it wasn't until after I'd done a few different courses and different events, and you pick up so much knowledge, and you meet people who are doing certain things, and you ask them questions, and you take bits from them as well. So yeah, it's just kind of putting everything together in your mind. And because I had a mortgage, obviously with Leanne, at the time we had 2 kids. The third one came not long after, and I'm still like, I've got no structure to my life here. What we're doing, and that's when we started to really kind of focus on, right, okay. And I know a lot of people will tell you, buy to let, you're only going to make a few £100 a month cash flow from it. But I thought, right, okay, but I'm sure I can build it up fairly quickly here.
Yeah.
And we did, to be fair. And you set small goals. You want to get to a certain level where this is what I was earning on the tools. Can I try and match that? Then once you surpass that, okay, right, what's the next goal? Try and get to that level, and then that level. And that's when the time, right, okay, I can come off tools now and really focus on this and go for it, which I'm glad I did.
And I think a lot of people see that, because you're right, buy-to-lets, people can sometimes kind of stuff their nose at. Okay, like you're only making maybe 200, 300 or 400 quid a month or whatever, but you're not thinking of the bigger picture. Well, that's fine, but if I've got 4 of them or 5 of them, is that replacing my income that was on the tools, or covering the bills or whatever? And I think that's like a good foundational step to look at before you look at your bigger ones.
Yeah, just because of my situation as well, because we didn't have anything else there, and I did have a pension. I still don't have a pension today. I'm not interested in a pension, because I know what I've got today blows it out the water. But back then, I just thought, you know what, I just want to build this, and I need to pick the right deals. You know, I can't just be buying anything. Like, you see that a lot today. People are buying a lot of stuff that I wouldn't go near with a barge pole. And that's not to say it's not a good deal, but it's not going to work for me. You know, because there's certain ones that I look at, and the deals that we've took on, it's the equivalent of somebody else doing 3 or 4 buy-to-lets. That's the difference in the cash flow. It's a real strong portfolio that we've managed to accumulate, and the cash flow is strong, the capital growth is really good as well, and I know where it's going. It's just going to keep going north.
How do you think do you still hold any of the early holds now in your portfolio?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
And think your criteria it obviously has changed since then, but what has shifted in that transition, do you think? Is that through courses that you've learned to do different?
Yeah, it's just the way we do it. We buy at a certain level. The level that I'm buying at, I know that I have to add value somewhere. If I'm not adding value, I need to be buying at a decent discount. Then we can refinance things very quickly, pull out the money and go again. Yep. And social media's been big for us. It's people see what you're doing. You know, you put a lot of stuff up and people see it. They may not engage with you at that time, but they watch everything. And I've did a lot of like testing and measuring, if you like, with social media posts and whatever, and it draws out a different audience, certain posts.
Yeah.
It does prove that people watch everything. And what happens is they reach out to you after a certain time, and you meet up with them for a coffee or whatever, discuss possible opportunities to work together, and they're rhyming off stuff from 5 years ago that even I forgot about.
Aye.
But that one you did in that street, I seen that, and I like that kitchen in that house. And I'm like, wow, you've been watching everything, but you've never once commented. So it just shows you it's powerful if you leverage it in the right manner.
So you do a lot of organic. Do you do paid ads as well? Or?
Nah, never.
Not at all?
Never.
So how do you find, are people approaching you with good deals based on your organic? I take it there.
Yeah, when I was saying earlier there about the first few you're looking in the shop windows, then obviously social media comes in and Rightmove becomes a thing. Most of my stuff I was finding myself on Rightmove.
All right.
In that period of time. And now I don't even really entertain it. Because I go into certain viewings now, it's online, and there's another 20 people in doing the viewing. It's not going to fit into my structure. So a lot of people are bringing us deals. I get sent stuff daily, and we kind of filter through them, what ones is going to be possibly good for us. Because I'm using investor funds all the time, I need to make sure they're dead on. I can't afford to be taking any risk whatsoever. And I know some people say, there's always risk. Not the stuff that we do.
Yeah, you
Honestly,
mitigate a lot of that.
We've took out all the risk for every single deal that we do now. And I genuinely, honestly, there's no risk at all that we do.
That's like a good working model. So you have investors that come in and they'll fund it because you're finding deals that are so much better than the shite that's out there, that people are going, I'm confident that you're going to return them because of your reputation.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing this for 20 odd years. The fact that people go, I'll give you that money and I feel confident I'll get it back.
Yeah. That's the thing, it's trust. People need to trust you. And it's people even who knew me before as well. And then they've seen how I've transitioned into it and how I act, I hold myself, how I speak. You know, everything, it's all in line. You know, there's some people that they'll put a good post out or they'll do something good and then right away they're like, that's no lining up here.
Yeah.
You know, you sort yourself, guys. But yeah, everything we do, it's, I wouldn't say it's easy, but because it's so natural, you know, you're just, everything you say, it's easy enough to speak about it because I'm passionate what I do. I'm honest, I'm transparent. It's, it just all goes in line with each other.
So we are talking about social media. Like, I get this when new people coming through now, and they'll say like, "Oh, I can see your social media. It's good. Everything else, like, I'm just too scared to post. And what do people think?" Like, I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway, so you can back it up.
I know the answer.
How pivotal do you think? Like, raising finance is massive in property, but do you think social media, if you weren't posting, you wouldn't be getting as much finance brought to you, as much deals brought to you? So ultimately, is social media so crucial in your journey?
Yeah, social media is, for me, it's fantastic. We've leveraged it in a manner that's given us a lot of exposure. If social media wasn't a thing, as I say, when I first started, I had to go and talk to people. I had to go to meet people face to face. You're on the phone an awful lot as well. So it's a bit more legwork, if you like, because you've got to go to certain things. But I've never went down the route of paid ads. I know a lot of guys do it, and I'm sure they get success from it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be continue to do it. But for me, I've always just did it organically on social media. As I say, I've got a lot of people who have been watching for some time, and they reach out when they're ready. You know, I don't go chasing them. You know, people, if they want to make money, they know that I'm there to make money.
And are you keeping most of them or flipping them, or are you?
I only do buy-to-lets, flips, serves accommodations, and we've did some HMOs over the last 18 months. That's it. I don't get involved in anything else.
And you keep everything yourself, or you're selling it on?
Yeah. Aye, it's only myself and Leanne. We've not got other people, third parties or anything. It's just us, it's nice.
And how did like Leanne come into it? Like, does she start to come in when the portfolio was getting to a certain size, and she's like, right, okay, I'll come in and help manage this, or has she always just been there from the start doing it as well?
Obviously, Leanne was kind of there for the kids when I'm out and about trying to find work nowadays, and I'm sure that's a job in itself.
Yeah,
so I'm told.
Backlash for that.
3 kids. I agree with Leanne. It is very difficult, by the way, just for the record.
No, listen, she brings a lot to the business as well.
Yeah.
She's better at certain things than what I am, and vice versa. So it works well. It's not as if we've got a when you do this, and this, and I'll do that. If something is done, one is just do it. You know, Leanne's kind of fully on board with what we're doing, and it's just us two that's in it. It's like I say, there's no other third parties involved. Of course, there's investor funds there, but I mean, there's nobody else involved in the business.
Love that. And you spoke about kind of managing risk and mitigating it from all your deals now. That helps. Obviously, you bring on finance, you bring on investors. Any tips you can share about mitigating risks or managing risk?
Yeah, it's the deals. The deals are everything. You know, I don't mind sharing numbers. In some of the deals we did recently, last year, there was one we paid 805 for it for our portfolio. We literally spent 16 grand freshening a couple of them up, and then we got it refinanced within 3 months at 1.18 million.
Wow.
Right, so we've got all the money back out. The investor that came into that, he get paid back. Obviously, he's desperate to go again because that was fantastic.
Of course he is.
And yeah, other people then see that as well because we posted about it. People want to talk to you about it as well. So it's all about the deal for me. You know, if I'm bringing that type of deal, there's zero risk for that, because at the time when we purchased it at 805, it was valued at 960. So we're paying 155 grand below what it's valued at. So it's I've got a good margin there right away.
And did somebody approach you with that, or did they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's even easier, right?
I was brought that deal from an estate agent an estate agent / letting agent. So they've got a landlord there that had properties in their personal name. You guys know yourself, most things are now purchased within the company.
Yeah.
So this landlord, older than myself, he had bought them maybe 15, 20 years ago. He just doesn't enjoy it anymore. It's a different market to what it was back then. And he just wanted out. So we negotiated the price. It worked for him. He was happy with it. And we took it on. Some of them were tenanted, and some of the tenants hadn't had an increase for over 10 years. And it's all Glasgow as well. It's tenement flats in Glasgow. So we're taking away his problem. We're not going in there and taking this below market value, like try to do anything. We're actually taking it to help him out. He needs out of the game because he's getting heavily taxed. He's also not making anything because these costs are outweighing the rents. The rents are ridiculously low. You'd be lucky to get a tenth in Glasgow with the prices that these were paying. So we've took away his problem.
Yeah.
And at a price that still worked for him and at a price that worked for us. So it's a win-win for everybody.
And how do you, I presume that wasn't your first portfolio, or was it now? So how do you go from buying, or it's probably not the right question to ask, but from single lets to single unit buys to then going to portfolio, is there a different mindset or different way you analyse the deals? It's just simply 10 times or 9 times how many units
for
of the
me,
same thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. But for me, putting the amount of energy into buying one is the same energy that I put into buying 8 or 9 at one time. Solicitors might tell you different, but I don't think there is. Because when you're buying a portfolio, there's still the one loan going against it.
Yeah.
If you're buying one single unit, there's one loan. The money you're putting into that single deal, it might not be too much less than what you're doing for the portfolio. Because you're getting borrowing against the value of the portfolio. So it just depends on the deal again.
And obviously a lot of
because
these...
if that's an 800 and it's a 9, you're not borrowing 25% of that
No.
because it's 130 grand more than I've.
Yeah, right away you're putting down 10% deposit on the portfolio.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal deal.
So that 10% might be not too much more than 25% deposit on the single unit.
Aye.
So the energy that I put into that and the funds that I put into that, there's no a great difference.
I was going to say, but the
7 or 8 units
And
instead.
16 grand, sorry Sean, 16 grand to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had lots of houses that you spent a lot more than 16 grand on a one bed.
Yeah. I'm actually doing one just now and we're at 20 grand on it for a tenement flat. It's a 1 bed tenement flat. It's a 1 bed to a 2 bed conversion we're doing.
but still the money on that one compared to a portfolio. But I was going to say also, you mentioned there that not been raised in 10 years on the rent. That's probably a big thing you do see in portfolio sales, because when they're exiting for probably a couple of reasons. One, it's end of plan, so they've retired. That's now their exit is lined up, or the strain of having this portfolio is just too much. They need to sell it. So do you look at this in terms of not an instant buy? Obviously, yeah, the refinance section will take care of itself, but when it is so below market rent, you've got a plan in place to get it to a point of market rent, essentially, or you're just taking it that this will maybe take 5-6 years to get to market rent and gradually increase those?
No, as soon as we get them, I mean, even before we complete, I know the rents have to go up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know even before I agree to buy it, I've done all my research on it. I know I've got the information what the current rents are. I know what the market rents are, and we need to jump to get there. How quickly can we get to it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might not get there right away, but at the same time, the tenants who are paying, let's just say they're paying £400, they should be paying £1,000 market rent. They've had a very good run at it for 10 years, paying £400. And now, I'm not going in there to say, by the way, right away, it's going up to £1,000. But within reason, we have to increase it, because my mortgage is going to be higher than that. Then I'm paying your factor fee, I'm paying your insurance, I'm paying the letting fee. So if you're not going to come up effectively, I'm paying you to live in my house.
Yeah, and you're running at a loss.
Yeah, so that's not happening. So we give them the option. You can either move on, or you can come up to the increased rate.
Yeah, and work with them. No, good.
And then we talked about the portfolio. We talked about the one. Is the market you focus on primarily Glasgow, or are you?
Yeah, I prefer Glasgow. I know every street inside out. You know, it's my home city, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
So I know everywhere. But in terms of being an investor in the city, I do know where I can make money. I know how to increase the value of properties as well very quickly. I want my money in, but I also want it back out rapid style. I don't want it tied in. Like I see other people do a refinance and they're leaving in X amount of pounds. You know, sure, some money might be left in certain deals, but not much. As long as I'm getting the majority back out to go again.
Yeah, it's just sitting there doing nothing. I think is that. Would you consider other areas, or is it just because you?
Yeah, we've actually supposed to buy a portfolio completing Friday. It's dragged into this week. That's actually in Cooper.
All right,
just outside St Andrews.
Yep, nice.
So that was us. That will take us up to 10 units up there, and that's performing well as well.
Many up to now, do you know?
Many units.
Aye.
See that question? It can be a false
Aye.
question. I know guys that have got a couple hundred and they're 95% leveraged because they're buying in areas that you just wouldn't get near. They really, on social media, they like to look at me. I've got X amount of properties. For me, it's all about capital growth, the value of the portfolio, the cash flow. Like I said, the properties we've got, like one single unit, the cash flow we get from one will effectively be someone else's 2 or 3 buy-to-lets because it's really, really low cash flow for them in the areas that they buy. However, the capital growth that we are getting blows that other stuff out the water. It really does. Again, it comes back to my grounding and my mindset at the start was, we've got nothing here, we need to raise money.
Yeah.
And because we're taking other people's funds, I need to make sure this works. I can't afford any element of risk whatsoever.
Yeah. I think when people first start doing property, I think we spoke about this a long time ago, Sean, that people go, what do you want to do? And you go, I want to have 30 houses. Mm. And you're like, all right, and you make 50 quid profit a month on all of them. You know, you're like, is that what you want?
I see people that are doing buy-to-lets and a cash flow can be like 200, 250. I wouldn't go near that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's not to say it's wrong. Mm-hmm. It might be fine for someone else, but this is my business. It's an investment business and we need to have the money constantly moving, constantly working. Someone else might have another job. They're just happy to park their money. All this refinancing, cash flow, growth, they don't even know what that means. They're happy with that. That's a different type of strategy from me. Mine is all about putting the money in, recycle it back out, go again, and repeat, and just keep going.
I suppose the benefit with that, I guess, if I was an investor, the fact that if you're only clearing 200 quid, there's a high risk there. You know, a boiler goes and then you're done. Yeah. Whereas if you're like, I'm an investor, I'm going to invest in him, and I know he's going with high net, it means there's always a bit of fat at the end. Should I need to change the central heating or something at all?
Yeah, I mean, I can sit here and tell you a figure, and that everybody will think, oh, it's amazing. Right? But they could be in the middle of Timbuktu. Yeah, they really could be. And this is how I won't sidestep the question, but
it's not an answer.
It's a true answer.
Yeah, it gives valid.
Yeah, because I know people, like I said, they've got a couple hundred. I know their cash flow is really poor. I know they're actually close to, like, they're leveraged, heavily leveraged, should we say. Whereas we're not. We are very steady across the board, and it's a good portfolio we've got. Mm-hmm. I don't have to show spreadsheets on social media the way I see people. I don't need that. Some people do, but I know what I've got. Mm-hmm. I know that it's going to have continued growth. It's impossible not to, and we'll just keep going with it.
So you're doing all this just now. What is the 23 years, long time? Mm. What's the end goal? Is it playing golf in Dubai forever? What is it?
You know what? Playing golf in Dubai sounds nice, but with my bad back, I just can't play golf. I just can't.
I wish I could play my bad back and my pure golf, but I'm just crap at golf.
No, listen, I would like to live over. I like the sun. We do travel quite a bit as a family, which is nice. And it's good that we can do that without any restraints. You know, we don't have to put in for time off work or whatever. We can just get up and go. You know, over the last couple of years, Leanne and I have sat on a Saturday night and you can hear the rain battering off the window, and we've jumped on the laptop, and Monday morning we're on a flight, we're away for a couple of weeks. It's a nice lifestyle I have. I know people might think that sounds a bit arsey, but we have got a nice
You work
lifestyle.
hard for it. Why is it not?
Where we are today, we've come through a lot of rough periods with a lot of tough times, and we're still here and we're still growing all the time.
So would you stay abroad, manage remotely? Could you? Is that something you could see
Yeah, I
happening?
could. We did self-manage up until about 18 months ago, and everything was going okay. But it gets to the point where some tenants, they think they've got a hold of you and they want to text you on a Saturday night at 10 p.m.
Yeah, I'm trying to book a flight on Monday here. What you doing?
Yeah. This now for really trivial stuff like the light bulbs went out, it's not going back on. I'm like, but it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Is it going to harm you tonight? We can fix it and put a bulb in for you tomorrow. Small, really trivial things like that. So we outsourced it to a letting agent 18 months ago, and we're actually in the process of switching everything to another at the moment.
Did you find that 8, 10, 12%, whatever it may be, like that, it's a small fee, and can, like, instead of getting those texts on a Saturday night, it's just a small fee to pay to get somebody else manage it, and they can handle that kind of crap, essentially.
I wouldn't pay those fees.
I get that.
I'm being very broad when I said 8 to 12%.
I see when you've got
whatever percentage.
when you've got a chunkable size portfolio, right, and you can negotiate with a letting agent, and you can get a better rate than that.
I love that.
So you talked about Glasgow and that portfolio. Is that your best deal?
Please
say yes.
No, it is. It's a good one.
That's a great one.
There was another one we did maybe a year before that we took on 8 at one time, and we paid 465 for that, and it was valued at 660.
Wow.
And then pretty much within 3 months it was up at 880 maybe, I think 880.
That's nice.
Stuff like that, it's worthwhile getting into it, and you don't mind taking it on with tenants paying really low rents. There's got to be a bit of scope there. You know, you're getting them at that price. They're not always going to be empty. You're not even seeing them internally. This just comes back to my experience then, because I know the streets, I know the type of buildings there as well. I know the size of them. I know what I'd probably throw at it if I have to gut the full place. So anything less than that is a bonus. This is the whole experience that comes from doing it for so long.
What's the worst deal you've had?
The worst?
Let's go the other way. What have you had and you've learned, shit man, I regret that? I suppose earlier on. I don't know how good your memory is, like 20 years ago.
Do you know what? There's ones we're actually selling just now. They were part of a portfolio we purchased last summer, and we're selling them just now, actually completing this week. We better complete this week. So we're selling them because I just hate the area. I'm not a fan of it at all for investment. I know some people love it. It's not for me.
So was that always a plan then to sell them off? Like they were just part of a bigger picture?
Yeah, we took on the portfolio, and as soon as we got the keys, I actually went to see them, and right away we just decided, look, they were empty.
Right.
They were empty properties, but for me, it just wasn't going to work out. We only took it on as part of the portfolio because obviously you're saving the stamp duty, or majority of it anyway, and that's why we took it on.
But I suppose you've got to question
yourself. To see the back of them. Put it that way.
I suppose you've got to question in this rental market, which is mental. You've got why is this empty? Do you know what I mean?
The properties. No, we buying them. They were bought empty properties.
All right.
So we're going to go in, and once you kind of see them, you see what's going on round about in the area. I thought, why am I keeping crap? Let's just get rid of them. So we'll sell them, just put the money into another one right away, which is lined up. That's all I'm saying there. Better complete this week.
That's what I mean. You're being, I don't want to say picky, it's not the right word, but you're being very selective with what you add to your portfolio now. You want the
100%.
quality coming in, so you're fine to buy I don't know how many it was, just say it was 6, but like three that they're going to fit the criteria, and these 3, cool, well, we can put them, but we're buying them for the bigger picture of saving on ADS, saving on tax and everything else, to fit the bigger portfolio where we really want these 3, which is good.
Listen, see the ones that we are moving on, someone else is obviously buying them. It's going to fit their criteria. They're happy
100%.
with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're rubbish properties. And
They're no bad for them,
Yeah.
they're just no for you.
it's just for our strategy and our structure, the way we work, they're not going to fit into that. So let's just move them on. I'm not going to keep them and try and make them work. I can identify right away they're not happening. Move them on.
And your swim lane, I'm going to kind of, you stay in that residential. Would you ever consider jumping out to commercial, or are you?
Nah. Last year we had a look at a hotel we were looking at. We were going to maybe convert it into served accommodation units. But when the more we looked into it, there was a couple of elements of risk I didn't like. And I am totally risk adverse. I don't go near it because I'm using outside funds. I can't afford to do that. You know, if we took it on, the money would be tied up for too long. What if the planning hold things up? It's longer again, you've got more holding costs. It just didn't make sense. So we just decided, no, we're going to walk away from it and put the money into these other ones here. And I know the way I can do it over the time frame that would have took for doing that hotel. We can put the funds into doing smaller projects, 0 risk, and we're just in and out constantly. It's much better for us.
You speak about, like, I can see it already with the way you talk about your early beginnings to now, and even kind of in between there. But like, where do you see a lot of attributes now where people come through? I suppose what separates people coming through property now from succeeding and from those that don't actually make any traction? Like, do you see any kind of skills or attributes that people just need to have nowadays?
Everybody wants to make money up here day one, and if they don't, after a few months, they pack it in and do something else. Whereas we just stuck at it and just kept going. I know there's other things out there you see in social media that might look amazing. Even in property, they might like build a super home that looks fantastic. I know they're not making great money. I know that. But they see the stuff that we're doing, it's pretty boring. I can do it in my sleep though. You're just in and out, 0 risk, constantly recycling the money. And if you look over a 2-year period, similar to what I'm saying about the hotel, the amount of money we've made in that period to the guy building a lovely super home, we are far greater.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, right? It's not to say the guy building a super home doing it wrong, because I'm sure it's fantastic.
Different
and
strategy for different people.
Totally different strategy, but I'm really, I just stay, I know what I'm good at. I say I can do it in my sleep.
I think I'm very especially with things like land or all these things. Whereas if you're about the 40th person to see it, and everybody's had every exit and strategy in the world, and the guy's going like that, this is a great sale. It's almost like I wouldn't waste the time, because I'm thinking it's a bit like you saying, get into a house and 20 people have seen it. You should actually just turn around and walk out, because you're like, I'm never been able to buy this at the price I want. And land's the same. People have done this before, and if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right?
Aye, often I hear that when I tell people what I can offer them back financially, and I'm like, well, this is what we can do, and I tell them what we can do. They want to try it, and then they realise, wow, I didn't realise how straightforward that was. Yeah.
So you're quite open to investors and JVs approaching you?
Yeah, we don't really do JVs as much anymore. We did that in the early days. Now it's really just like a big fund that we've grew. People just want to invest money with us because they can see we're transparent, we're honest. They just like the vibe that we've got on social media.
Yeah.
You know, I've met strangers for a coffee that have met up via social media, and they feel as though they know me. It's crazy. But it comes back to that trust as well.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I'm probably a bit older than a lot of the guys doing it now. Doing it for a long time. We've got a proven track record, large portfolio. You know, I mean, if there was anything to ever happen, that buffer's there for the portfolio now. But as I say, we're getting into deals where there's 0 risk. Like, 0. Nothing can happen to it.
Yeah, I suppose that's it. Not only is it reputation, but you're also saying, look, I'm only doing these deals, it's a 30%.
Yeah.
So you'll always get your money back. And see if you don't,
Yeah.
I'll take it out of this money or this money or this money. You're always getting it back.
Aye, there's so much security there for them now because of the size of the portfolio, which is a nice level that we've got to. It took time to build up to that, and people starting out, obviously they can't do the same thing, but to help anyone out starting out, I don't mind helping people out at all. I've helped out a lot over the years. Some I've actually forgot. But yeah, starting out, joint ventures are fantastic. They are. If you've got no money but you've got a deal, partner up. It's no rocket science.
See, just aside, sorry, it's not even on this list. I'm sorry. Question. So I'm just, because people get to a point, right, and we know tons of them. We all know them, and they do it for a while, and they make buying properties an arm, and then they do training. Is that something you would do? Consider? Because you obviously have been doing this for 20 years, and just when you're saying I would help people, if you say help people, I guarantee people are going to listen to this and you're going to get inundated with calls. Right? People going, do you mind if I spend 4 days with you for free? Is that something you would...
I could film a whole week out. Well, genuinely, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, just sitting, meeting people to pick my brain.
But would you do training?
Would I do training?
Would
offer
you
it as a service?
Would I offer it as a service?
Yeah, as in you do it as a company.
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. As I say, we've got probably more experience than most out there.
Yeah.
We really have. Add them all together and we've still got more.
Yeah, that's why it makes sense.
You try to pitch him to do his own sales pitching?
There's only 2 people I know that should be doing training, mate. I'm sitting next to the both of them.
No, I mean, are you shaking that? Okay, you want to do this? It's giving me the fear a wee bit.
This is turmeric. Turmeric is very good for you, apparently.
You've had these shots before. You're about to have it first time on camera, so your facial expressions will be fun.
It's apple, lemon, turmeric, ginger puree, and cayenne pepper.
So again, a bit of pre-context. We done this in our very first episode, and my face was a pitch when I took it. Like I hate spice. I korma is spicy to me.
Really?
And I was nearly spewing that first episode, and then I went to an event, and somebody came up to us and went, "Oh, Sean, I've seen the podcast. It was brilliant. Here's a ginger shot for you." I'm like, "Oh shit, this is now a thing. We need to do this in every episode now." So
It's good for you in what context?
Good for your stomach, I guess.
your digestive system, I think.
I got it
Toilets are
because
out
as soon as he said to me, "Oh, by the way, I can't eat anything spicier than a korma," I'm like, "Oh, I definitely have
spicy,
to find
is it?
something."
It's turmeric, so
It'll be all right. Aye.
last one was ginger.
Aye. This
So,
has got ginger in it as well, and curry.
You'll be fine.
Cheers.
And I want to, is it?
I know. innit?
Off.
Oh, that.
Everybody's fine with it, apart from me.
It's not
I
too
can
bad.
feel that in my.
No.
It's overreacting, isn't it?
I only done it for sport because he said I don't like corners. I'm like, I've got to. Honestly, we've got a company that are going to be giving us them, and they've got chili ones. And see when that episode comes on, and I'm giving my chili one. That's the one. That's
aye.
I'm like,
That's a bit more milder than the one before. To be
He's
fair,
pitching
but
for a sponsor in this. Starbucks.
No, I've wrote to a company. They're doing them in the box, and they're going to send us boxes of them for free. I'm not going to name them until they give me the boxes.
Yeah. Aye. Good. That's
I
not
was
too
trying
bad.
what they're going to say, man. Jesus Christ. Aye, so sales coaching coming out soon. No. But no, that's good. I mean, in terms of obviously like to give kind of value in learning, because you've got a wealth of experience, obviously, with the years you've done. Just hit my throat. From I guess if you were to strip everything away from you right now, is the kind of simple question of you're starting again, today's market. What are you doing now to start? Essentially, you've got nothing. You've no properties now. You've just come out of a career,
No knowledge.
no knowledge.
No.
Brilliant question, by the
It
way.
is very good. Yeah, I think first and foremost you have to hook up with somebody that knows about that industry. So somebody that's genuinely been about, and genuinely done a lot of stuff. Speak to them. If it means paying for knowledge, i.e. a course or a seminar, do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do it, but make sure you're going to implement it. Don't just take that knowledge and decide this is too hard. I'm going to try something else. If you're genuinely wanting to be successful at it, keep doing it every single day. Honestly, the amount of hours and stuff that I've put into things over the years, early mornings, late nights, weekends, travelling all over the place, but I wanted to get to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to find out exactly what it is you want to do, rather than just say I want to be in property.
Yeah.
There's so many different things you can do in property, as you know. But some people don't really know that answer yet, purely because they don't know what's actually available. You know, you can do your buy-to-lets, your flips, your sourcings, your developments, land, HMOs, short-term lets, whatever. There's so much out there that you can go after, and not every single strategy is going to fit into you as a character and what sort of skills and mind space that you're in as well.
Brilliant. So basically surround yourself with the right people, get educated, but do something with your education. I always say this as well, it's like not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. So go on the course if you need to go on the course and read the books. God knows we've all read books and not done anything off the back it, do you know what I mean? But apply the actions that are in that book or in that course or seminar or whatever. I mean, you've spent, like you say, over £100,000 on personal development and courses. It's not just something that you just pay and you go to and you don't do anything. You need to apply what's there.
I think people go on courses and it's a bit, I used to call it Dick Whittington. They just think the streets are paved with gold and they think, I'm just going to step out this course and somebody's going to phone me right now and say, I've got a 40% net yield property, no money down, do you want it? And then they step out and nobody's phoning them and they're like, what's going on? You know, they don't know what to put in the graft.
Yeah, I think if you're starting out, you need to know what a deal looks like. And to you, I know some people might think, I want a property that I'm going to flip, I want to have minimum 25k profit. Right, okay, but what if you get one that's coming at 23k? Are you going to turn around and say no? Yeah. Some people are so, because they get taught that on a course maybe, you know, you stick to your criteria. If you break that criteria, then that's you're going to break it again and again. I'd much rather make 23 grand and nothing.
Yeah, actually answered a question I was going to ask, which was like, if you're doing your first deal, you're looking for that perfect first deal, or just taking a deal to get the learning from it. I hear that as well is a really good example of my cash flow is, I know you're against it, but like £300, and somebody comes to you and go, I've got one at 270. Are you not going to take it because it's only 30 quid? Whereas you could buy it, go through the process of conveyancing, the finance and the lending, the refinance, the refurb, things that all that experience is worth more than that extra 30 quid you could have maybe got. Plus you're going to get a rent increase the next year anyway and stuff. So for me, it's like, that was the question, was don't be waiting for that perfect deal. Get selective when you're in a position where you can be selective. But if you're starting out just now, like, get the deal done first and foremost. And then obviously don't take a shit deal for taking a deal, obviously, but you know, as a 5k profit in that flip, that'll be eradicated very quickly.
I mean, some of the flip that we did, one of them was last year in Glasgow South Side, tenement flat. There was 100k profit in it.
Nice.
It was just, it was a right good one. We paid 145, and then the renovation and all the other costs were 50k. Obviously selling costs, it took you up to, you're all in there for 200, and we sold it for 3. It was that was over 6 months it took, purely because Christmas. I think Christmas is in the way. A lot of my stuff that I'm doing, you know yourself, see December, a lot of people sort of foot off the gas. Then January it takes them a few weeks to get back in the swing of things. So yeah, that was a good one we did. Honestly, we are still focusing the same two things that we started with: find deals and raise money. Yeah, that's all we. If you simplify it, that's all we're doing. There's so many other ways of raising money. A lot of people have got this in their head that it's private investors, you know, that need to get other people to pay for things. There's other ways of raising money. Plenty of ways of raising money that we've leveraged as well.
Such as?
There's loans, credit cards, equity.
Bridging.
It's so many.
I think the bridging, it's, before I do bridging, it's my first go-to, I think, if I'm being honest, right? But before, it's like a scare. It's almost like we were talking earlier with John, that auctions scare. It's like, can he possibly bridge? Because then what will happen? And you're like, I don't know why you cannot. Actually, you should be thinking about it first. Because, you know, the perfect thing is to bridge, refurb, mortgage. Or sell, and that's it.
Exactly what we're doing. Everything we are buying is on a bridge. But we're getting it revalued very quickly. You know, very quickly. Generally, we've got all the funds back out 3 to 4 months maximum.
Pretty much just getting a bridge in and then starting that refinance process straight away. And people underestimate that as well. And I've got a client just now doing it, and she was asking like, when should I start the refinance process, it needs a refurb. I was like, start it straight away. Like, just start it straight away.
Yeah.
We'll get the key, we'll get in the process, because the time that to get to the end of the refurb, I said, it's only going to take long, 8 weeks maximum. 6 to 8 weeks, I says, but by the time you get to the end of that, you want to be in a position where a surveyor's coming out, or even, like, do you know what I mean? You want to get the speed of that going through. You don't want to wait to the very end and then you're waiting an extra 6 to 8 weeks for somebody to come in and see it, or if they don't, or if they can do an AVM, then brilliant. But doing it straight away is,
for me, it's everything speed. I want everything done, and I want it done properly as well. I find that's a bit of a challenge to do, because we've got high standards and I'm not dropping them for anyone. If that means having to move on to different people and whatever, so be it. We have changed a lot of people. We have, like yous, like trades and professionals, that we've had to change over the years just because they were good for a certain level, and then we've moved on again, so we have to chop and change.
And where are you? So at the moment, are you continuing with this 5 years' time? What does that look like?
5-year plan from now, it'll probably be 5 times the portfolio size just now. That's where we're taking it. Whether we're still in this country or abroad, I don't know. It's not just me and Leanne, we've got 4 kids in total.
What ages are they, roughly?
Just now, roughly.
What's the date of births? You're like that, right? Hang on a second. Let me ask the missus.
At the minute, we've got 22, 19, 17 and 4.
I remembered. I've got my kids' date of birth written on my phone. Just in case I forget.
They're all good.
So they're all
4 is the trickier one.
They're all different stages of their life. So for us to say, right, we're up in sticks and we're off, it honest, you just can't do that.
No.
You know, it's got to see what, if we did move abroad, what do they do? They don't have a network, and maybe they're not that mature enough the way I would just get out and yap away to people, build my network very easily. You know, I wasn't like that at that age, just to go out and start talking to people. So you've got to take it into consideration. It's not just Leanne and I want to go out and live in the sun.
Don't get me wrong, the top 3 older ones will probably want to go with you if you're like, come and stay in the sun with me. They're like, okay.
Yeah, we don't need to get jobs. No having it in my pocket.
That's the management company. Is the kids 4%?
No, that's how it works.
I was like you touched on travel. Like you do like your travel, don't you?
Yeah.
So probably non-property related. But where's your favourite place? I think I know the answer, but
yeah, we also love going to Dubai. We do love it out there, and we've got to know the whole area, different places to go and what have you. So it's different for us now going out there. The first time you go out, you're a bit, wow, check that one, check that building, everything else. But now you're out there, you've got friends out there. You know, it's nice. But we did a few weeks there at New Year, and it was fantastic. It really was.
Would you buy it there?
I'd never say never. But at the moment, we've just got so much going on here. You know, I get approached almost daily on, I don't know if you guys are the same, WhatsApps offering opportunities to buy off plan.
Off plan, all that.
And they're telling me it's a great yield and it's this and it's that, but I'm telling them, well, I do this here and I can do it 10 times quicker and get my money back out 10 times quicker. So I'll never say never, but at the minute I'm very focused on what we're doing here.
Yeah. I think you buy out there, you get a golden card, a golden visa, because that's what we're doing now. So
you moving out there?
Aye. No, we're not going to move it there. We're just going to buy a flat right next to our pals. And we'll get a golden visa. It's a 10-year visa out there. A bit nervous about off market because I've heard off plan because I've heard so many stories, but I'm not going to talk about them on the camera.
So obviously a big on the personal development and all that as well. What's probably if you can narrow it down, like one of the biggest book or even audiobook influences for you?
Books
or audiobook? I'm more of an audiobook guy. So.
I don't mind an audiobook. I like that in the car. Kids go nuts when I put something on, but
I'm not allowed to put it in the car. It's bloody.
I don't mind listening to Grant Cardone. He's all right. I know he's a bit much for some people.
Is there one that you currently go back to that's a big for personal development even?
No, not as much. You know, I have listened and read a lot of books in my time, but in terms of one that really stands out, no, I wouldn't say there's one big one.
We'll go with Grant Cardone then. And advice for your younger self?
My younger self?
20 odd years ago, 30 odd years ago.
I'm going to say lucky enough to sit and watch every game in the Japanese World Cup because I was gutted.
I
Lucky
mean,
and unlucky,
I mean,
right?
he was in a hospital bed.
I know, but I'm going to
Couldn't
get
say
a
it's
positive
lucky.
with it, right? Because it's a turning point. You're like that result. I get to watch phenomenal football.
Yeah. My younger self. I don't know, it's a tough one, that. It's a really tough one.
Considering you know where you are now, what you've achieved, is there any moments of doubts that you had when you were younger? You could go back and tell yourself, fucking shut the fuck up and go on with it.
I think probably buying and holding more property younger than just moving things on. But when you're younger, you don't want to do research and read books. When you're younger, you're just out of school. You thought you're done with all that. You don't want to go back to reading stuff and working. So yeah, probably I'd say holding on to more in the earlier years.
Start building earlier. Nice.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Listen, guys, thank you very much. For anybody who wants to reach out for you to give you money, I suppose, raise finance, bring you deals, who's best to contact you?
The two main platforms I use are Instagram and LinkedIn. Leanne uses more Facebook,
Right.
but for myself, it's more Instagram.
Cool.
What's the addresses?
Do you remember them? I'll find them and put them on the show notes.
We'll
Don't
put them
worry.
on the link for you.
I can see that black. Oh my god, where's my handle again?
I know LinkedIn's just my name.
Aye.
Instagram, I think it's BJ Corr _
I get it
property.
actually. I'll put it on the show notes anyway.
Yeah,
so don't memorise it. Listen, thank you very much for your time today, mate. You've been
Thank you.
absolutely awesome, and thanks very much, guys. And we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers, bye.